Welcome to the Miami Herald's High School Gridiron Report. I'm Manny Navarro.
And I'm Fernandez.
The playoff matchups are set up. Which of the first round matchups are you most excited about, Dre?
Probably Norland and Booker T. What about you?
I'd say Chaminade University.
That's not bad either. I mean, honestly, I love talking playoffs this time of year, so let's go.
All right, first thing we got to do is get to next week. Time to rewind. There were more than a few playoff spots on the line last week. Among the best games was supposed to be Cypress Bay taking on Everglades for the District 11 6A crown, but the Lightning turned the game into a mismatch. We go to the highlights where Mark Wandolo's bunch did what they always do. That's run the football. Here you see running back Matt Days take off for just some of the 171 yards he ran for on the night. Moments later, Danny Epstein, who finished with 120 yards, runs this one right up the gut for a touchdown. Cypress Bay would jump out to a 38-7 lead early in the fourth quarter. Everglades would answer with a pair of touchdown passes from Matthew Vincent, but the Lightning's lead was just way too much to overcome. Cypress Bay would roll to the 38-21 win. Andre, the Lightning, 8 wins in a row since their season-opening loss to Boyd Anderson. Is this team a dark horse to make it out of that region?
It's definitely a dark horse because I think they've been underrated the whole season. Like you said, the power running game mixed with some pretty good defense has surprised a lot of teams. I think they're going to have a good chance to win against Crop in their first-round game and go from there. The other teams in that region are good, but not dominant where they can't be beat.
Yeah, I like Cypress Bay. Ely and Dillard met up in the annual Soul Bowl last Saturday night at Lockhart Stadium. The Tigers needed a second-half comeback to claim the District 14-5A title. We've got some pictures. Down 12-3 at halftime, Tigers freshman quarterback Denarius Graham engineered the rally. First, Graham tossed a short screen pass to Devarius Walker, and he did the rest, plowing over a Dillard defender on his way to a 20-yard touchdown. Then, with only 2:56 remaining, Graham connected with receiver Mitchell Jones on a 26-yard touchdown pass. Ely would prevail 17-12. Dre, the Tigers have looked shaky over the last few weeks. If Graham can handle the quarterback spot, are the Tigers good enough to make a deep run in the playoffs like they did last year?
Definitely still good enough to win the first 2 games, that's for sure. Beyond that, they're going to need a lot more consistency to have any chance against Aquinas, but we'll see. They always play the Raiders tough.
All right, in Dade, there aren't many undefeated teams left, but Monsignor Pace is one of the few. The Spartans, who missed the playoffs for the first time in 18 years last season, improved to 8-0 last Friday with a 33-14 win over Gulliver. In the process, Pace locked up the District 8-2B crown. The story here really was Pace's defense, which forced 4 turnovers, including a 43-yard interception return for a touchdown by Anthony Walker. Pace quarterback Aryenton Cooper completed 7 of his 14 pass attempts for 120 yards and 2 touchdowns. Anthon Samuels had a great year. He's finished with 180 yards on 16 carries and also had an interception on defense. Dre, Pace was sort of, they've been a nice under-the-radar team. Are they good enough to make a run at the Class 2B state title?
Well, the only obstacle I think in their way pretty much is University. We've seen how good they've been this year at 9-0. It's pretty much between them. The winner of that game in the second round, I could see both making it there, and then the winner of that has a pretty good shot at getting to Orlando.
All right, Miami High hasn't been to the playoffs since 2004, but the Stingarees will make their return next week. Last Thursday night, the Stings locked up the District 14-6A runner-up spot with a 48-21 win over Coral Park. The Rams jumped out to a quick 14-0 lead after 1 quarter, but behind running back Andre O'Neal, who finished with 191 yards rushing on 16 carries. The Stings rallied. O'Neal scored 3 touchdowns, and quarterback Bruno Jean connected on a pair of touchdown passes. Coral Park actually led 21-14 at halftime when receiver Jawan Caesar scored on an 83-yard touchdown catch, but it's the Stings who prevailed. Dre, I know they've got to play Central in the first round, but how about the job Frank Welsh has done?
Fantastic job. I mean, you talk about guys like an Andre O'Neal who have busted onto the scene this year, a very good running back, quality kid, a lot of speed, a lot of power to make plays, and overall just a team that believed that from the beginning they were a contender to make the playoffs again. I mean, people talked about Gables, Coral Park with a hot start. Turns out it's them. Frank Welsh, a hell of a job. I mean, now gotta brace yourself for the powerhouse that's coming, but they should enjoy it.
Yeah. Sony Michelle caught our attention last season as an 8th grader at American Heritage. He's maintained it as a freshman. Last week, Michelle ran for 203 yards and 2 touchdowns as American Heritage upset Cardinal Gibbons 21-17 to claim the District 8-2A title. Down 17-14, Heritage forced the Chiefs to punt late in the 3rd quarter. On the first play right after that, Heritage quarterback Sam Walensky found Isaiah McKenzie open for a 41-yard touchdown pass. That proved to be the difference. Gibbons quarterback Chase Bender finished with 210 yards passing and a touchdown, but it wasn't enough. Dre, is Sony the best small school player in Broward County this season?
To me, without a doubt. I mean, you talk about the numbers this kid's putting up. We've saw him do it since last year as an 8th grader. It's it's staggering how high these numbers are going to be by the time he's done if he keeps doing this for a few years. American Heritage very happy to have him, I'm sure, and has a good chance to make some noise now in the playoffs if he keeps running the football like that.
All right, the Raiders rolled to a 56-0 win over South Broward to clinch their 14th district title in a row. Those Raiders, of course, St. Thomas Aquinas' Raiders. Just 27 seconds into the game, they lock it up when Jamal Wilson takes this second handoff of the game, 67 yards to the house. Big run for Wilson, but the big story here, Dre, was quarterback Jake Ruddock, who set a new school record for career touchdown passes. Here he finds Philip Dorsett deep for one of 5 TD passes in the game. The Raiders close out the regular season against Cypress Bay. We'll talk about that one later. Dre Ruddock, I mean, is he maybe the greatest quarterback ever in St. Thomas history?
It could be. I mean, he's at a time where he's got a lot of kids, one of the most talented, teams that they've ever had. But at the same time, this kid has shown that it's not just what's around him. He's got a natural pocket presence, a kid that I think is going to have a good career in college. And we'll see if he can lead them back to the promised land this year.
Time to fast forward and look ahead to the big matchups between some highly ranked teams in the final week of the regular season. Dre, all of these teams are making the playoffs. Let's start with the Soul Bowl between Jackson and Northwestern Friday night at Trask. First off, is Teddy Bridgewater going to be back in this game?
Well, I saw him last week on the sidelines against Miami Beach, and the crutches were gone. He was walking around. Billy Roll, when I spoke to him, said that he had done some light throwing, done some running. I would say maybe 50-50 that he'll play in the Soul Bowl, but he'll definitely, it seems to me like he'll be back for sure for the playoffs. And if not, Elgin Hilliard can definitely handle himself. I think he's done a good job the last few weeks of developing and giving them a shot against Jackson. I'm sticking with the Bulls in this one.
Yeah, I'm going to disagree with you. I think no Teddy Bridgewater. I think Jackson, this is one of the few times they'll win the Soul Bowl. I'm going with the Generals. All right, undefeated University heads down to Belen Friday at 3:30. We know the Suns are one of the few unbeatens. Do they remain unbeaten, or do the Wolverines bring them back to earth?
It makes you wonder because this is a game where I'm sure Roger Harriet wants to play hard, wants his kids to play hard, but he also doesn't want them to get hurt before their playoff run. Belen's kind of in the same boat, and Belen may be the toughest opponent they've faced all year. So I'm going to go with the Wolverines, especially at home at their place.
All right, should be a great game. St. Thomas Aquinas will travel over to Cypress Bay. Dre, I know the Lightning have been playing well, 8 wins in a row as we mentioned earlier, but are they good enough to beat Aquinas?
I really can't see it happening. I mean, the way Aquinas is playing right now, they're smashing, as expected, good quality teams. They just did it to South Broward. Cypress Bay will have a decent performance, but overall, St. Thomas is on a roll.
All right, I think Mark Guandolo's team has been great, but this is Aquinas' year. I'm going with the Raiders. Last but not least, Central and Booker T. Washington will hook up Saturday night at Trask. Both of these teams will probably rest some starters for the playoffs. Who wins?
I mean, I think they might not rest people, especially at the beginning of the
Really?
game. There's a lot of pride there, believe it or not. I mean, granted, they want to keep people healthy, but again, similar to St. Thomas, I think Central's got a lot of depth, and it's going to be a close one. It's always a good one, but I'm going to go with the Rockets.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Central's going to win this game, but it's only because they're the deeper team.
I can't believe you didn't bring up Braddock playing South Dade.
Well, let's be honest here. Braddock beating South Dade, it's probably not going to happen.
No, I wouldn't think so. I'm surprised, though. I mean, did you just really pick against them for, the first time all year?
I'm an analyst, Dre, not a homer.
Wow. Well, hats off to Hallandale Northeast, who wrapped up their first district titles in a long time, and Cooper City for the first time ever.
You did call that earlier in the year.
I did, that's right.
See you next week.
See you.